And we are live here once again. Everyone knows every Tuesday night at 8, it's time for another insightful and exciting edition of the MCW Cast. I'm Legacy MC Larry Legend. We've got one half of the former MCW Tag Team Champions in studio with us tonight from Seduce and Destroy, Breaux Keller.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
And with us, as always, the heart of MCW, Tara.
Thank you, Larry. I didn't even have to say anything this time, did I?
Not at all. Well, Danny Mays showed me the way. I love that moniker he's given you, and I think it's so appropriate, the heart of MCW. So I used to call you the lovely Tara because, we were all, lovely Tara, but I think it's a lot more appropriate to call you what you are, the heart of MCW.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I have been here a while. Anyway, so thank you all for joining us. We are at episode 53, and last week we had the very entertaining Eel O'Neill join us, who was our first wrestling guest that has not worked for MCW, so that was kind of neat. So we kind of had him on the air before we had him in the ring. So it'll be interesting to see when he does appear here at MCW. So that'll be fun.
A very eloquent guest.
Yeah, it was so enjoyable.
Yeah, and I didn't get to ask him this because, it's kind of tough. We had John Rollins with us, Ricky Owens, in the hot seat, kind of filling in for Dan last week. And you want to give everybody their moment to, dig in there. So I held back on this, but Eel revealed to us last week that he had quite the extensive background in acting. And just like when we had Tim Spriggs, BJJ champion, on a few episodes ago on the cast last season, I asked him as we were leaving, what was your favorite role? Is what I said to Eel O'Neill. We were leaving each other in the parking lot, and he revealed to me that it was Edgar from King Lear.
Oh.
So, and I thought to myself, I wish I would have asked you because Tim Spriggs. Yeah. So it was just I think it was quite a thing, myself having a background in Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. And I feel that a lot of the times the heightened drama in Shakespeare's plays is very similar to the way that our battles play out, with, the whole jealous lover or, scorned son, you can see Dominic and Rey Mysterio. That's what's going to happen. Right. It's like a Shakespearean spin that they're going to put on that when they do eventually, fall apart. So I missed that opportunity, but I want to let everyone who watched the episode last week know that Edgar from King Lear is Eel O'Neill's favorite character he's ever played on the stage.
That is really interesting. So the next time someone says, wrestling, it's fake, you can say, no, it's Shakespeare. There you go.
That's a clever comeback right there.
It's funny because I actually just graded a paper last week that was all about whether wrestling was real or fake and why it's so offensive to say that it's fake because it's so, there's so much athleticism and storytelling involved. And it was funny because I was grading this paper and it was like a team grading thing. So we're looking for, to make sure people are meeting benchmarks. I teach college, by the way. And the other two people on my team had no idea anything about professional wrestling, right? And I was like, well, their sources are a little vague, and and they're looking at me, and I was like, oh, okay, fine. So on the weekends I do this thing, and they were shell shocked, you do what?
Yeah,
They just
seriously.
didn't know, and I was like, yes, so yes, all the stuff he's writing about is actually true, But it's just interesting, that there was that crossover, and I got excited because I was like, yes, a paper I know something about. Thank you.
100%, yeah.
So anyway, before we get any further, I want to make sure to thank everybody for listening on all of the platforms that we are airing on. Of course, Facebook and YouTube. We love those likes and shares and subscribing. It really helps us out a lot. And then all of our major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Radio Public, and CastBox. And a fun fact, I know I've mentioned it before, but if you have, Amazon Alexa enabled devices, you can just ask her to play the latest episode of the MCW Cast. So, and if you've got it, if you have Spotify linked to your Amazon Echo device, it will play it right there. So it's pretty neat. You can listen to it literally anywhere. So we thank you for that.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I'm sure that you could say, hey, Siri, and also, have Siri from your phone or your pad or your Mac just start the because we're on Apple Podcast, know. So
that's true.
So just like with our Alexa, to all my Macites out there, just say, hey, Siri, or whatever prompt you have to activate her or them or him.
Well, Alexa and Siri do get along well together.
Do they now?
They do. You can actually, there's like Easter eggs hidden in there. So like you can say to Alexa, what do you think of Siri? And she'll answer you. Yeah.
That is news to me. I had no idea.
Oh, well.
That is funny.
If you're ever bored one night and, like feeling a certain way, just Google Alexa Easter eggs and you will be entertained for hours, literally.
I do know about if you start the lyrics to Bohemian Rhapsody to Siri, she will finish them with gusto.
Yes.
So, yeah, you just have to say, I think I see a little silhouette of a man, and then she'll do the Scaramouche, can I do the Vanango?
Yeah, there's all sorts of things. Like I'll say, Siri, have Alexa, tell Samuel L. Jackson to tell me the weather. And then he does it in his voice. Oh. And you can choose between like the clean version or the not clean version.
Yeah.
So, we of course have the colorful version going.
Of course, yeah. Samuel L. Jackson's at his best when he's got a potty mouth.
But anyway, so yes, those little home assistants can be great and they can be very useful for playing the MCW cast. So
Indeed.
Another thing they can be useful for, although I haven't figured out how to do this yet, but I know that there's a way that you can link your YouTube videos to your Alexa device. Like if you have the one with the video screen, you can link your YouTube and play videos from that. And you can check out our Flashback Friday, which of course is on YouTube.
Yes, indeed.
Where we have them. This week's Flashback Friday is an older one from 2014. It is the Bunkhouse Battle Royal from Tribute to the Legends.
Oh, wow. That must have been a real hoot.
I have no doubt that it was. I was there for it. I can't tell you if I remember it or not, but yes.
Now, I don't know if I was around for that one. I've been around for a few of them in a couple different arenas that we've run, but I'm not sure if I was there for that one. But
somewhere over there, I think behind you,
yeah,
is the Golden Boot, isn't it?
Oh,
yes,
there we are.
Down there, yeah.
Yeah, the Golden Boot is there. Those matches are always a lot of fun.
Indeed, they are. And you know what else is a lot of fun? Speaking of YouTube, are the MCW Quick Clips. And recently, there was a quick clip that was posted that featured. It was you and Joe and the.
Okay, also a good start.
Yeah, Black Wall Street. Okay, and. It was a three-way dance from one of our most recent shows. And the reason I'm bringing this up is the thumbnail is of you giving Drolix a huge Yakuza kick right in the side of the face. And sometimes the thumbnails can really engage you and hook you into what the heck was going on right here. I was delighted to see that big boot of yours go into the side of Drolix's face, and your hamstrings and your quad, everything was just like, it was
just popping.
Indeed, I did. I need more of it.
Change it from a thumbnail to a footprint. We're gonna have a new name for it now.
Right on.
That's funny. All right, well, we're gonna actually come back and talk to you a lot about your role here at MCW, the accolades, how you've made such an impact in such a short amount of time. So we're going to take a quick break. I think we covered everything, right?
I think so. Did we shout out our coffee club members?
Coffee club. It's cold in here. The heat doesn't keep us as warm as the coffee does. So thank you for that.
Yeah, but what you don't know is we have a Keurig, top of the line, digital Keurig right over there. We have a tree of Keurig cups of different varieties, and I always have myself about 2 or 3 cups of coffee in one podcast sitting, so thank you.
I
know you do.
Do you like the seasonal variety that I've gotten in?
Indeed I do, and to the good doctor and Bretto and everybody else who has subscribed or been a Coffee Club member and sent us a little something, thank you. We really appreciate it.
Show your support for the MCW Cast while sporting some great gear by going to teespring.com/stores/MCWcast. You can pick up a full line of official MCW Cast merchandise, from coffee mugs and face coverings to t-shirts and sweatshirts. Visit teespring.com/stores/MCWcast.
All right, we are back. Thanks for joining the MCW Cast. I'm here with Legacy Larry Legend and one half of the former tag team champions for MCW, Breaux Keller.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, happy to be here. This is an honor to be in the MCW podcast.
Well, you are relatively new to the MCW family. So you made your debut, I'm trying to think, was it before the pandemic or after?
It was definitely before.
It was right before, right?
Such a good question, though, because like thinking back, it wasn't even here at the arena. It was at, it wasn't Hollywood. What was it? It was like a blue high school. That is what I remember from it.
Was it Perry Hall?
Perry Hall,
yeah. It must have been. Okay.
Yeah, because I've actually visited a time or two when you've been out at Perry Hall. So when she said that blue high school, I'm like, wait, that's Perry Hall.
I dropped my kid off at the bus there multiple times a week.
There we
That's why I was
go.
like, Blue High School. Wait, I just saw that today. Yes,
Yeah.
the Blue High School. Unless it was Manchester. It wasn't Manchester.
Now, Manchester,
was
I've
it?
never been to.
It didn't have horses painted on the wall, did it?
It very well might have.
Okay. All right. So if it had horses, it was Manchester. If it had alligators, it was Perry Hall.
There we go.
So-
All right, I'm thinking it was the horses. Alligators does not ring a bell.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's Manchester then. All right. Right on.
All right.
Well,
so-
we've been in a lot of high school venues from North Carroll to Perry Hall and everywhere in between, honestly.
Well, North Carroll was replaced. We did run at North Carroll.
Yeah.
The previous year. Years and years ago, we ran at North Carroll. Remember?
I remember.
But now that one is closed, and it's a rec center, which we did run at. Maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
And now Manchester Valley has replaced it, so it's a much nicer school. But yes,
There we
horses are everywhere on the wall, like galloping.
Beautiful
the whole night,
horses, by the way. Beautiful
yes.
horses.
So that must have been where it was.
Totally. Yeah,
right.
it was such a fun night too. I remember Billy Gunn was in the main event. If that rings any bells, I'm not sure.
Gosh, we've used him so many times.
Yeah.
I wish I could
Yeah.
say that I could remember
Yeah.
exactly which one it was. Now
One
this
ti-
is where we need John for.
Right. One time he flipped me inside out with a clothesline at the end of the match.
Well, that's just rude.
Well, I broke a clipboard over his head.
That's ruder.
Well, I was trying to help out Jerry Lawler.
Well, there you go.
You know?
I'm pretty sure he spanked me. So
I'm sure he did.
A lot
Like a
going on
running
that
jo-
night.
It's like a running joke that I
We like having
that
Billy
happens a
Gunn
lot.
around just for moments like that. And there was a time Billy took Larry's head off with a clothesline. There was a time he spanked Tara, you know.
with lots of good times. But now, when you made your debut here at MCW, you actually had a different tag team partner.
I did, yes. I was tag teaming with Dame at the time,
That's
who
right.
has since retired from wrestling, from what I understand. Moved out west, I'm pretty sure is in Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just really, there was a lot going on and just really in a better mind space now. So very happy for Dame, just really getting everything collected upstairs, which was definitely a priority. So it's just nice that, you know, they're doing okay at this point in time. So
Yeah.
but since then, you know, old Mr. Joe Keys decided to link back up here. So it's definitely been a fun ride with him at this point.
And that was, if I'm not mistaken, you two paired together because Dame couldn't make a show, correct?
Yes.
And it was like, okay, who's here?
Yeah, it was like all happenstance. Like everything kind
Yeah.
of came together serendipitously. Like it really worked out because I don't even remember why Dame couldn't make it. I think that was a moment.
Sick. I think,
Sick,
yeah,
maybe.
they were
yeah,
sick.
That,
I'm pretty
that sounds
certain.
right then. But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those moments because even leading up to that, we hadn't really been a tag team for too long, and it was primarily here because we just had good chemistry. We wrestled each other a ton.
Yeah, we gave you the name, right? So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
Here, here's your name.
Yeah, and it worked out for us too, just with our dynamic back and forth. And yeah, it was a blast and a half. But then, like you said, couldn't make that one show.
Yep.
So Joe was here. We had a pretty good connection. It was like, all right, let's just link these two up and
Yeah.
let's get it rolling.
Yeah, make some magic.
Yeah, and we've talked about that on the cast before, how sometimes these things just happen so organically. And, you know, sometimes two people who you wouldn't imagine together all of a sudden just have like the best match of their careers, or, you know, they become a really solid tag team or a faction. So it's really cool that we actually have gotten to watch this firsthand and
Yeah.
see, you know, you all are definitely a dominant tag team. And, you know, it's sad that you lost the championship at the last
Preaching to the
show. I'm
choir.
sorry.
It's
Yeah.
still hurting me at this point because technically we didn't even lose it.
That's the
right.
danger of that type of contest, Miss Championship Committee Chairperson.
Yes.
But it makes it exciting, bro. I know it was a difficult blow, but when we see things like that as an audience member or as someone that's like kind of like, you know, not a part of that whole process of making matches, it's just like, wow, that intangible now means that y'all were never even pinned.
Right. Well,
We didn't even get a rematch either, mind you.
And that's the story.
that's the crime
right
within
there.
itself.
Okay?
I'm making notes.
Yeah, please
let's
do.
mark that down because
Okay.
we were just robbed of the titles and then never even got a sniff at them ever again.
And you know what? Therein is the life lesson. It's that sometimes you can work as hard as you possibly can and achieve, and just like that, because of circumstances, the rug can be pulled out from under you, and you're right down back to the bottom. So
That's true. Well, you know, a lot of people don't like matches like that. Like I know the big match at, what was it, day one? People were kind of, I don't like that. You know, like they don't like the idea that somebody else can be pinned that would cause you to lose. And there are some purists out there who really feel like that's unfair.
Yeah.
And, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a generational thing, and I blame, part of the blame is ECW, because they were the innovators of the three-way dance. Not the triple threat, but the three-way dance where it was like elimination, attrition. And that kind of piqued WWE's interest to introduce the triple threat match. But I blame video games.
Whoa.
Okay.
Because surprise response here.
Well, the thing about it is that when you get your edition of 2K, a lot of the kids are doing these multiple type of like, and I want Triple H and Kofi and Brock and Kane all in one smorgasbord of a match, like a little mini whatever. And I don't think that there are too many purists wrestling fans that are like, okay, I'm going to book my WrestleMania card right now on this game. It's like, I can do what I want to do in this little mini video game universe. I want to see that reflected on the TV show too. And that's why sometimes you have these sort of like, why does it have to be Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Chris Benoit?
Jeez.
I don't work for them. You know what I mean? Why, I'm talking WrestleMania 20, one that I attended.
Yeah.
And it's because once that edition of the game comes out that season, people want to replicate that, and they are going to do versions of it. So I blame video games and ECW for.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. I tried to play those video games. I tried because my son was really into it for a while, and I tried to play.
I can't.
And I was like just squeezing the controller because I was like, he's yelling at me, you have to do this combination and this combination. And I was like, I can't get up. I just keep falling over. I can't get back in the ring. And then he would come out and he'd start kicking me. I'm like, please leave me alone. How do you expect me to get up if you keep kicking me? So yeah, I'm not a fan of those.
With me, I played with Leo Rush's son Dakari once, and I know how to do a grapple and like the same thing over and over again.
I figured out suplexes, but I don't know how.
Punch, kick.
So maybe you and I are on the same level because that's all I was doing was I was grappling, suplexing. Yeah. So maybe,
oh my gosh. So you said you don't play that either.
See, the thing is, video games have progressed way out of my ballpark at this point. Like, I just sit there, I'll mash buttons constantly and just pound. Doesn't work.
Right.
Doesn't work. You can't win that way.
Right.
Yeah.
But you make a good point, though, with video games, because even when, these kids get together, they're having parties, they're not going out to nightclubs, obviously, because they're 8, 9, 10. But you get a group of, 4 or 5 kids together, if they all have a controller, every single one of them's getting in the match then.
Multi-man madness,
so you see 4 or 5 people in a match, and they're like, oh, yeah, this would be great if we actually went to the show and saw it. So that's not a bad point.
But there is something to be said about tradition and the classic one-on-one confrontation.
Well, a lot of people some people feel that when a title is on the line, it should be preserved, that the person who is pinned should be, if the title is going to change hands, then it should be them being pinned, and not some other person in the match,
I guess it's a gift and a curse because then in that happening, the seeds are sown, just like Bro brought up. We never even got a rematch, and these guys are running around with our title.
Doesn't seem fair. And we didn't even ask for that stipulation, mind you. We were expecting 2v2 regular tag team match, and then for whatever reason, I don't even know, Ken Dixon and Boom got introduced to the match, and here we are without our titles.
Yep.
It's a valid point, and
sorry, don't blame the championship committee.
I don't know who else to blame for that.
Okay, well,
when all else,
I'm not the only one. It's a committee. It's not just me.
And when all else fails, just blame Phil.
There you go.
Okay. Phil.
I blame Phil.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on Phil.
He says trust in Phil, but I don't know if we can, right?
He calls himself
trust.
The president. He's the president of pro wrestling, so.
President of screwing over, seduce, and destroy.
I'll say. Yeah.
All right, well, I made a note about the rematch.
You know what? Maybe Miles Hawkins and Killian are in you guys' pockets. Maybe they're greasing your palm.
You're onto something here.
That's another tag team that kind of came together.
The Trade.
By happenstance,
My favorite example of that, not to take it back to ECW, I brought this up on the cast before, is that Mcw Whipwreck and Tajiri.
Oh, that's right. You have brought it up before.
Tajiri is like a Japanese buzzsaw, from the land of the rising sun and kind of a mysterious person. And Mikey was like a death metal, like kind of like a stoner. I guess he was kind of like supposed to be like, well, not, or like a punk or something. I don't know.
Like just edgy.
Yeah,
like
long
black,
metal shirt, and kind of an underdog.
Right.
So you never
mega underdog.
Yeah, you never thought that when they got together that magic was going to happen, but they kind of like closed the tag team division of ECW down. They were staples of the tag team division at the end. So yeah, that's a Danny Doring and Roadkill is another example of like
definitely.
you got Danny doing his thing and you got the Amish Warrior Roadkill. Put them together, and magic is made. So
right.
But even in wrestling in general, I feel like you even alluded to it earlier with the organic. Like, that's when things really leave the most lasting impression and memories and moments, because it's not forced. Nobody's like really trying to throw it down your face. It's just like, let it happen organically. Let it come together, and then people will see the natural like evolution of whatever it is that's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
I mean, not to take it to what's going on in the game outside of indies and Maryland wrestling, but great example on TV, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle.
RK
Bro.
Yeah.
RK Bro.
And another Gable and
Otis. Yeah.
Magic.
Yeah.
Now, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, I have to say I was not a Matt Riddle fan of him by himself.
Bro.
Right. Like, it just did nothing for me. But, which is kind of ironic. But anyway, but when they got together, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I felt like it showed a different side of Randy Orton and just their mannerisms and how they would interact. And, he'd give them the side eye when they'd stand up on the ramp. Like, I just found that highly engaging, and it was just something different. When you take a guy like Randy Orton, who's worked years and years and years, pretty much the same style, and, he's a no-nonsense kind of guy. And then you got, like, Matt Riddle, and it just was, I found that amusement in that, so.
No, I totally agree.
I agree as well. It's opened up a whole nother layer to both Riddle and Randy Orton.
Yes.
They are kind of living off one another. It's a great thing to see. Since you bring up Matt Riddle, bro, you kind of bear a striking resemblance with the young Colt-like hair and
this hair
smile.
Is luscious.
I've seen it. It's hair that I want to just like bite.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
snack time over here.
maybe after the cast,
now.
I can take a bite of your luscious locks.
There we go. Sheesh, don't tempt me with a good time.
This is the cast after dark.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, it's season 2.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the gloves are coming off.
We'll have to air this after 10 p.m. instead of 8 p.m.
There we go. Everybody put your children to sleep. Now we can get the adults in the room here.
That's right.
Well, just to segue this a little bit, your look is a very important part of your character in wrestling. And you have a very distinct look. You have all energy on your tights. You exude energy from the minute that your music hits and everything. So, how has your character changed over the years, and how have you, just kind of put this
put it all together.
Your style?
No, totally. Yeah,
all packaged together. There.
It's just been fun because you hear the old cliche where everybody's like, oh yeah, you should be yourself cranked up to 30 or whatever,
Worked for Stone Cold.
Yeah, exactly right. Perfect example.
Yeah.
So, like, as I've even grown just in life, like kind of grown into myself, I've seen that kind of evolve my wrestling persona as well. So, before when I was just getting in about 5 years ago at this point.
Okay.
Really quick sidetrack, by the way. Larry, you were at my very first show that I did in my very first match, and you probably don't remember this because this was legit 5 years ago. But my music didn't play. I had to go out with zero music whatsoever. Nobody knew who I was, and the match itself was whatever. But you were there, and it's just in the back of my mind.
I have no recollection of 5 years ago.
Wow. So you made your debut in 2016, right?
2016, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess
was it Future of Honor?
No, I wish that would be
His
great.
First match?
My very first match.
Well.
Yeah.
I just am trying. Where was it, bro?
Oh, I want to say it was I need to remember this too. It was up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Maybe even Mechanicsburg specifically.
Okay, this is coming back to me now.
Joe Gacy was on the card. MJF was on the card.
Wow.
Who else was there? there was like another guy who had like a Egyptian pharaoh gimmick.
Ophidian.
No, it wasn't Ophidian.
No?
I want to say it was a CZW guy. If I'm allowed to say their name on here.
Oh, yeah, we
can say
can
whatever
talk
we
about
want.
Oh, right. There we go. Perfect.
Anybody.
Beautiful.
Who was your opponent, bro?
Twisted Tate. If
Oh,
that
Okay.
The lights
I
turned
know.
on.
So I ended up at that show by accident.
Yeah?
I believe. Yeah. That's like one of those like, hey, you want to come?
You're
And then
sure?
I get there and they're like, okay, you want to announce? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess. I don't even think. Did I have my gear? Was I in a suit?
I want to say you were in a suit.
Okay.
What's the cardinal rule? Always bring your gear.
Always
Well, I mean,
bring your gear.
When you're riding with Ruckus, okay, I better be glad to bring myself. I might be left in Chocolate City and my body's riding to the show. So, wow, that's amazing.
So you were there from day one for old Breaux Keller here.
Wow.
But even still, back to the main point
Yeah,
here.
The character, yes, bro.
I was such a baby. I didn't know, like, anything. I mean, I was still trying to figure it out, of course. Like, I had the basics of wrestling at that point. It was my first match, though. So, it's one thing to do something in a ring in, just like a training facility or somebody's yard, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. And then it's another thing when you have, I think at that show there were like 75 people.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I wasn't booked. I rode along.
Yeah.
So.
Right. But even still, like, that's not a massive crowd, but
For your first time?
for your first time, it's like, oh, this is huge.
Right.
These are all strangers. I got to make sure I'm doing my best. I got to perform for these people.
Yep.
But like then, like I didn't know, how to make my facials to the crowd. I wasn't doing the things in between moves. I wasn't really soaking in every moment. So, like from that moment to, a year into wrestling, 2 years into wrestling, I really kind of figured out who I was. And it's the thing I was saying, like I became who I am, but just cranked it up a little bit. It's like, okay, I like to bring some energy into a room. I like to have fun, smile.
Yeah.
And I just really realized, hey, I can tap into that a little bit. Like I can make that, of course that's me in real life, but then that could be me in the ring too. So why not really, dive in and lean into that aspect of my life?
Right.
I'll tell you, not only is it the look, but charisma is a huge factor in who you remember. I can tell you from when I first saw you here, I think it was a breakthrough. Maybe the first time that I announced you here was a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't take my eyes off of you.
Hey now.
Because I'm like, you're just capturing everybody's attention. You're not being overshadowed by Joe or your opponents. It's like, who's this guy? I want to see more of him.
Well, I think that you and Joe work really well together because, he has that energy in the ring too, but like, outside the ring, he's like when we had him on the cast, he's pretty mellow, laid back,
Cool Joe.
Like we had to ask him to keep speaking a little louder,
Like, that was his first appearance on the cast when he was here. The time that it was him, Miles, and Andretti, when it was a kind of like a segment in
three-way
cast.
dance.
I missed that, and Joe was that was after he had been with you. He was really letting us have it.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
But I think they really work well together.
Yeah, you influenced him.
Okay. Hey.
You woke that tiger up.
Good. He was napping for far too long.
Indeed.
And it's in a way that's not competitive with each other, and I think that's what makes a really good tag team is that you can have those seamless interactions where you play off of each other, even if it's just subconsciously playing off of each other without overshadowing the other. So you can bring all your energy, and he can be low key Joe Keys.
Yeah, like the Odd Couple.
Right.
And that's why it works so well because, opposites attract,
Indeed they do.
And so I feel like to your point, we do have a good time just really being together and just understanding there is balance between the two of us. And maybe he does some stuff that, I can, or I don't bring this to the table, whereas vice versa, I feel like I can do things that maybe he wouldn't necessarily bring to the table. So that's where, if you have, you're only as strong as your weakest link, they say.
Indeed,
So if we can both build each other's links up and make a solid chain, I think we're in good hands.
All right.
Well said.
Well, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about how you got your start in wrestling and where you trained and some other things like that. So stay with us, and we will be right back on the MCW Cast.
And we are back live here in studio with our guest, Breaux Keller. And when we went to break, Tara wanted to delve a little bit deeper into your origin story, where you trained. And I guess before you even answer that, we always like to ask our guests, were you a pro wrestling fan growing up?
Oh, of course.
It's not always the case.
That is
No.
We have been gagged.
I'd say it's probably maybe 60% wrestling fans.
What?
And
Oh,
then like
gotcha.
40% are like, no, I just one day decided to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
That is a massive surprise because I feel like every time I'm listening to, I don't know, any other interview or podcast or something, and it's like, so how did you get into wrestling? It's like, well, I watched it when I was a kid.
We've had it a lot.
And I
And
love
it is a
Yeah.
recurring theme, but there have also been a lot of folks that we've had in that hot seat that have been like, actually, I couldn't stand wrestling when I was growing up. I was
Right.
like,
My
why do
brother
we have to
watched
always
it,
watch this?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, color me shocked
know.
because that is very surprising. But yeah, I loved
never
it when
know.
I was a kid. It was, I mean, primarily thanks to my older brother because he was,
Family.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So he got me into the routine of, switching back and forth and the Monday Night Wars. It's like, okay, this is on commercial. Let's jump over to Raw. Okay, Raw's on commercial. Get back over to Nitro. So that was where it all began. But yeah, I mean, origin stories wise, like, I've really been kind of quiet about this for a while because it's somewhat embarrassing in how I got started with wrestling. But
You were trained by DJ Hyde.
not trained by DJ Hyde. Not
I'm just kidding, Deej. I thought I wanted to have a little fun at his expense. No, go ahead.
No, we can thank Twisted Tate at Atomic Championship Wrestling. I know
Okay.
we just brought him up a minute ago, but no, he was my trainer. Him and Lufisto for a little bit as well, because she was in Pennsylvania for a good bit of time. But no, I ran collegiate track, and I went to the NCAA championship, okay? And my junior year, I placed and got All-American. But
Wow.
not
You
to
were a
do-
hurdler, right?
I was a hurdler,
See,
yes.
I did my
You did
research.
some
I did
homework.
some
Bravo.
homework.
Go for it. Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
I was impressed because I could never hurdle anything without like.
You could.
No.
You just gotta put a little time into practicing. You could get it.
My feet don't move that way. But anyway, continue.
But yeah, so my senior year then, I went back to nationals, went out to Colorado, and had a decent like preliminary round. But first of all, let me tell you, the air out there does not exist.
It's very thin, eh?
So the second I crossed that finish line, dead. It
Yeah.
was just not fun at all. Just grasping for air, not enjoyable.
Yeah.
So don't recommend going to Colorado and running one full lap around a track at your max speed and throwing obstacles in the way while you're doing it. But no, made it to the finals, and we have the race. I get 4th place at this meet, and as soon as I get across the finish line, this lady's like filtering people over. She's saying, hey, you got this place, boom, you got this place, taking us to the podium. And the second I get over to the podium, this dude comes up and he's like, hey, you. And I was like, yeah, what? Me? Like, meanwhile, I'm just dying. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And he says that I was disqualified. And I looked at him just in complete shock. And I was like, what do you mean I'm disqualified? And this is a rule, and I disputed it because I have video footage of the race where this didn't happen. But a hurdle obviously is only so wide. And they said I hooked my leg around the hurdle instead of taking it over the hurdle, which is illegal because it gives you a slight advantage.
Right.
But yeah, so I was disqualified my senior year of college from the national track meet. And that just brought me way down.
Wow.
And I was in just like kind of a bit of a slump, really. I mean,
I bet.
that's your last collegiate race, and you get told that you're disqualified and you don't
Wow.
get to be an All-American. So that really just deflated my balloon in every single way that you can
I
think
can
of.
imagine, yeah.
Yeah. But in doing that, it just kind of really reignited this competitive fire that I had inside of me because I'm competitive in nature. So then, obviously you graduate, you don't have, your sport anymore. But when it happens the way it did, it's just even that much worse. It's like somebody taking a knife and just twisting it. So I was trying to find other things to do. Like I played rec league softball, flag football and whatnot, but it just wasn't doing it. And finally it got to a point where I was like really trying to figure out where the heck am I going to go with all this? And my brother was dating a wrestler at the time. So then he was like, hey, so like, you've been watching this for years. You love it. You should give it a try. And I was like, I don't know. I'm too small. Like, I can't do that.
You're
but
like 6 feet tall. Or
this
taller.
is true,
Okay.
but I'm not the widest.
Okay.
So I just really felt, they're not going to believe it. I'm too tiny. I'm just a scrawny little kid. And thankfully, at the time, though, we were literally having a bonfire. And he goes, you know what? No, we're doing it. And so he texted Jamie Senegal, if you're familiar.
I know Jamie.
Yeah. And literally, I got a Facebook message within 5 minutes saying, hey, we're training tomorrow, 5 p.m. I'll see you there. And then sent me the address. And at that point, I was like, oh, I can't not do this now. So, of course, hopped in the car the next day, went over to Twisted Tate, and we set up the ring because it wasn't set up at the time. We had to put everything together. So immediately day one, I'm learning how to put a ring together, which, by the way, is invaluable because
Absolutely.
I don't think a lot of wrestlers nowadays, I'm not sure they even know, how to, tie a turnbuckle together. So it's like, just twist it, just put the ring together.
Right.
But yeah, at that point, I learned some of the basics. And I was like, hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. Like, I would regret not doing it because I always knew I kind of wanted to.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was scared that I was too small or people wouldn't believe me. So at that point, I was like, all right, well, we're going to make sure that people do believe this and that, I'm going to go balls to the wall, if I can say that. But I just really went for it. And, it's carried me through to today. And yeah, that's kind of my origin story, if you will. But
all right.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
good.
Yeah.
I got a question because we like to, pick our guests' brains about
Pick
their like sort of entry class. Like you mentioned, Jamie Senegal told you, "Hey, come on down and we're training." Were there any other notables that were training in that class with you? Did anyone kind of break through the? Because Jamie's a name.
Jamie's absolutely a name.
Definitely a name after those years. So.
Yeah, for sure. With NWA now, I believe.
Yeah.
It was literally the two of us.
Okay. All right.
It was the two of us, Twisted Tate, and I mean, he was obviously kind of directing everything at the moment, but yeah, it was just us. And that was how it was for a while. That entire, I guess it was the end of summer going into the fall. It was literally day in, day out, just the two of us really trying to get better. And then, that was where I got my first opportunity. I did wrestle Jamie at CZW, since you brought up DJ a little bit ago.
Yeah, I just like to tease DJ. I know he doesn't listen, but
Yeah, but still.
Right, exactly. You know what it is.
Yep. So, we were really just grinding our teeth out there, just trying to make each other better. And thankfully, Jamie saw something in me and, took that extra moment, to actually come and train and get better and practice. And same with Twisted Tate, actually taking that time to say, hey, maybe we can do something with this kid.
That's neat.
That is definitely neat. And I'm learning more and more about
welcome to my life.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason that we want to have you on. It's for our MCW faithful that's watching weekly and for us right here at the table to learn a little bit more. So
now you're from this area, right? Or
Ish. Yeah.
Okay.
So
lots of people say they're from this area, but it's like this wide, ginormous area.
Right. Like, where does this area end? Like, where do you draw the line? But no, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So it's like, what, an hour change north of here?
Yeah, I saw somewhere you were billed from being from Cockeysville.
From Cockeysville, Maryland.
Is that like current area or
I
no,
mean, that just kind of goes with the
all right, just check. I got it now. Okay. So, all right, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. All right, because I was like, wow, someone admitted that. Okay, but now this.
Oh right, yeah, but I mean, just listen to how it sounds. It's like Skaggsville
yes, it makes a lot of sense. Okay,
Yepers.
So Lancaster. All right.
Yeah, old Amish country. If those, I feel like everybody knows Lancaster just because of that for the most part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go to the outlets, see the Amish.
Yeah, my kid is applying to college there. So.
Oh yeah.
Pennsylvania College of Art and Design.
There we go.
Fantastic.
My brother graduated from there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I've got multiple brothers.
We got to chat about this. Okay.
Cool. We'll circle back on that.
All right.
And a lot of people from the pro wrestling industry, kind of from that area. Mandy Leone, Shane Strickland, all from Lancaster area.
Adam Cole,
yeah. So
you have, I want to say, Tim Donst, if you're familiar.
I know
Tim.
Tim. Yeah. So a lot of.
It's like a mini hotbed up there.
That's what I was thinking when I heard you were from there. I started thinking of the other people that I knew were from Lancaster.
There was a promotion up there. Wasn't it like Lancaster Pro Wrestling or something like that?
Yeah, there was LCW.
Yeah, that's
Lancaster Championship Wrestling. I think Shane Strickland and Leo had a match there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
Now that I think about it, Action Andretti. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. He's from Lancaster.
Yeah. Well, you know.
We're just throwing it all out there. I mean,
there's a lot of people coming. And Lancaster's tiny.
That's what I'm saying, you know.
It's up and coming.
Wow.
Maybe have to talk to the people from IWTV about doing a documentary about the history of wrestling that's come out of Lancaster, how it's a hotbed that not many people know about, but you know people from it, and you might not even know.
It'd be funny if there was legit Amish wrestling.
Oh my goodness! I'm already paying. Where it's
right?
Take my money.
Like,
I'm in.
I know we have wrestlers who do the Amish gimmick. You know.
Well, that's where my head was going. We mentioned Roadkill earlier. You know.
Well, actually, the people who make the buddies, the stuffed, the bruiser, the bruiser buddies, those they are also their character is Amish wrestlers. They come out with a chicken, also to the ring. So anyway, but there's people have drawn on this area, the Amish culture and the Amish area, for inspiration for their characters. I just was thinking out loud that it would be really neat if like the Amish had wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know. They don't need electricity, so like it seems like something that they could do.
I don't know. I think at the heart of wrestling, it's about settling a conflict with violence.
Oh, well,
you know, and
I guess they're probably not.
They just call the Amish Mafia. Where's Lebanon Levi at?
Is there an Amish Mafia?
It's a thing. It's a thing. I promise you.
It is a
thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't know what's in the back of those buggies.
No, I don't. And I don't think I'm going to find out. Yeah, a lot of body parts or something.
Something's back there.
Wow.
Well, but that's really interesting that you're from there. And I actually didn't know that some of the other people that you named, Larry, were from, the old Amish country.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's a hotbed for sure.
Okay, so you can say that you're from this area. This
we'll say this area.
Corner of the world, I guess. So, we do have that tri-state distinction, where Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia intersect.
What would you call that? The Mid-Atlantic?
It is definitely the Mid-Atlantic.
That sounds right.
Although it's funny because if you watch Mid-Atlantic wrestling, it's never from like PA or Maryland. It's like out in Kentucky or like Indiana and stuff. So yeah.
Interesting.
Can I ask you, following up on kind of the time where you really got hooked, the Monday Night Wars? Who were some of your influences that were like? I mean, obviously when you were liking it. As you were younger, you weren't thinking, I'm going to do this.
Right.
But who were the people that kind of like kept you engaged? Like, I love this, bit. I love this, I'm always watching this guy or girl or.
Yeah. No, so there were a few, obviously. I can say some of the bigger names that everybody's like familiar with, like Sting. He was definitely somebody, the face paint, he was all creepy and cool. Yeah. Vice versa on the WWE side, Undertaker, of course.
Oh, okay. So you were a dark-sided one.
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, if you look at
this is why we ask things like this. You get a glimpse of like, okay.
But yeah, I had their action figures and everything. I had a Goldberg action figure, but he wasn't really my go-to guy.
Well, he was kind of hard to escape during that era.
Very true.
You know what I mean? Like,
Very true. Surprisingly enough, though, believe it or not, one of my favorite wrestlers when I was a kid was Buff Bagwell. He would get me every single time. Just, he's buff, he's tough, and he's the stuff.
Bro, charisma.
I'm telling
you.
Charisma. Like off the screen,
Yeah.
I want to be engaged by this person every week.
Yes.
He always knew where to find the camera after he hit the deal and do the kind of wink.
Every time. And the hat, don't get me started on the hat.
Yeah, and it was kind of surprising to me that when they did the whole acquisition of WCW, that he and Booker didn't both kind of flourish.
Yeah.
I feel like he got left with the short end of the stick there. And
there was that match.
Yeah.
That was what I think, unfortunately, was the beginning of his end.
But it did it for him, but not Booker.
Yeah.
Like Booker kind of stayed around and really flourished in to this day. Like one of the only men who has 2 rings.
Yep.
And reality of wrestling and Buff, you kind of always hear on TMZ or, so it's really unfortunate the way that those two paths diverged. But I thought when I was watching and WWE acquired WCW, I was like, oh, boom, these are 2 great representatives from WCW to come, show what we do, and get the rest, a lot of them in. And
Wasn't he like working as a gigolo or something?
Oh, yeah, he was a stripper.
Recently, yeah. Well, in recent years or something. Well, he was maybe not super recent, but
back when
post wrestling.
Back when he was coming up with Too Cold Scorpio, he worked as a male stripper. Okay. He did. Raven did. There was some male strip club down by the power plant in Atlanta that a lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot of, but guys used to get, paid for dancing on poles with those bodies.
I was going to say, they've got the look.
Yeah.
Can't argue that.
Yeah, so that's amazing. Okay, so Buff Bagwell.
Buff Bagwell was my guy. Oh,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's about, like you said, about character, though. I mean, I've said many times on here, like, the one that got me was Ultimate Warrior. Like, he wasn't a good wrestler, He really wasn't really a good person.
Yeah.
But, when I heard that music, I got goosebumps every single time, for years and years. So when I thought about, wrestling, I wanted that to feel that feeling, and
totally.
Yeah.
And even with Warrior coming up, like if you watch, I don't know, other places where I'll wrestle and whatnot too, like I've kind of been influenced by him sprinting to the ring.
Yeah.
So I'll come storm into the ring. I'm bringing literally all energy.
Yes,
exactly.
all energy.
So it's like I saw that too and I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally felt that.
You can kind of pick and choose from everyone that you've seen and absorb the things that work best for you.
Right.
I do the same thing as an announcer. There are several different announcers out there, whether it be behind a microphone like this commentating or in the ring doing it, that I'm like, okay, I've never heard anyone announce the Undertaker's name like the way Michael Buffer did in Madison Square Garden. Everyone usually does that. The Undertaker, but he did the Undertaker, and I was like, whoa, that makes it sound totally more big than I've ever heard it sound.
Whole different level.
So, it's like, you pick and choose and kind of put yourself together with, the influences. You just don't want to like steal anybody's stuff completely.
Right.
If you got the bands wrapped around you.
I'm not going to come shake the ropes. Yeah, exactly.
Like Renegade. Remember Renegade? He might be a little bit before your time. Yeah, he was the Ultimate Warrior ripoff that WCW brought out. Yeah, Renegade.
Yeah, I remember. So you've been in the business since 2016. You got your start. And have you done a lot of other tag team wrestling before landing here or when you were with Dame? Was
very minimal.
Really?
Yeah. So that was... I mean, it was kind of like a blessing and a curse. Only a curse because I was relatively unfamiliar with doing it. Like, obviously, I've seen tag matches, and I can kind of understand the psychology behind it. But, again, until you're actually in there and doing it and experiencing it firsthand, like, you really got to get acquainted with it, really feel it, and, like, really understand what it is that's going on in a tag team match.
Yeah.
So, Dame, I actually, reflecting back, I want to say Dame was my first tag team partner.
Oh, wow.
And I've done, like, offshoot tag matches here and there. I actually went down to Georgia and wrestled, like, with Action. Not Action Andretti. But
I know Action, yeah.
Action Wrestling, yeah.
Yeah, they're on IWTV. So IWTV, by the way, just shout out to them. They get you kind of, like, immersed in, like, all the other little companies that are all over the place. So, I actually have never watched them, but I always see when I'm scrolling through what I'm going to do on IWTV, Action, New. So, right on.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, and with that, Isaiah Frazier, I think he's relatively local to here. He's in Virginia.
I know Isaiah Frazier, too.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people.
Yeah, you really do. You're well connected, Larry.
Well, I like to talk to people, and I think that's one of the reasons.
And you've worked a lot of places for a long time.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But, yeah, we tagged together down there a couple times. I mentioned Tim Donst a little bit ago. We tagged once or twice before in the D.C. area. So, yeah, like here and there, I kind of dabbled in it.
But you weren't like a tag team specialist.
Exactly. And I definitely hadn't won a tag team title with anybody. So, like, coming in here is a whole new experience for me. But, again, like, it's something to embrace. And I was able to learn, still able to learn. And especially when you have somebody like Joe, like, he's so knowledgeable in wrestling. And I feel like just even spending, 15, 20 minutes with the guy, it's like, oh, like he's on a different level here. Like I can really stay under his wing a bit and learn more from him.
Have you tagged together outside of MCW?
Joe and I? No.
Okay. Oh, that needs to happen.
Yeah.
That needs to happen.
Big time. Hey, Snooze and Destroy worldwide.
Well, we're gradually kind of opening back up. There are more people that are running shows.
What do you mean gradually, kind of? We got like 4 shows in February, Larry.
I mean, like other parts of the country,
okay.
So there was just a huge weekend in New York, New Jersey with GCW running their show at the Hammerstein Ballroom. And, that's kind of, for me, the first inkling that we're about to get back to full business.
Right.
You know, on our level,
Yes.
you know, such an undertaking
Right.
like that as was last weekend. But yeah, you and Joe got to put those 8x10s out, like, you
Big
know,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have a real like Midnight Express vibe.
Hey now.
you know,
Hey now. That is an
Yeah.
absolute compliment. Thank you
well,
for that.
I mean, look at you. You know, look at you both together.
Two studs.
Indeed, you said it. I was thinking it. Yeah. Oh.
Well, we're going to take one last break. When
Okay.
we come back, we'll just do a recap, go over a couple more things, and we'll hear some more from our guest, Breaux Keller. So stay with us on the MCW Cast.
Fuel the MCW Cast by visiting buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast. And for just $3, you can buy the cast a coffee. Or you can choose to become a member of the cast for just $5 a month and get several additional perks. That's buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast.
And we are back here live in studio with Breaux Keller.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're gonna drive this ship home. Bro, I guess the future and what it holds for you, any aspirations of where you'd like to see yourself pop up a year from now, let's say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's always the next step, right? Like, let's see where we're going with things. What are the goals? Where are we trying to strive for? So I think I believe, you know, a lot of people that get into this, their goals are to be on TV.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's multiple companies now, so you never know where you're going to pop up at this day and age. But, I mean, yeah, ideally, you know, AEW, WWE, I mean, NXT comes before that, I'm sure. But, it's just so up in the air. There's no knowing, you know, at this point in time, especially when the independent scene is thriving as much as it is. I will say randomly enough, too, I know there's a promotion in Scotland. I don't know if they're still running or not. I haven't seen anything, but ICW. I don't know if you've heard of them or not.
I actually have.
Yeah. Randomly, I want to do one of their shows. I saw Grado come out there one time, and he obviously had Madonna playing Like a Prayer, and that just gave me goosebumps. And after seeing it, I was like, I need to work there.
I have actually seen that clip as well.
Yeah.
It does seem like it's a blast. I know them because I work for ICW here in the United States,
Yes.
the deathmatch company. And to take it back to those the Bruiser Buddies, I had a version of that. And the guy who made them for me, I told him I work for ICW for the microphone that the buddy was carrying, and he thought it was the Scottish ICW. So I got a whole smorgasbord worth of Larry Legend dolls holding the wrong microphone. But I'll tell you how I spun it. I said, you know what? I'm going there. I said, you know what? Eventually, this is foreshadowing that I will.
Let's
hold that
go. We're
ICW.
making the
Yeah.
trip. We're
Let's
going
do
over
it.
the pond. We're doing it.
Hey,
Oh.
don't you pull my card, because
I
I'll make
will
it
pull
happen.
that card. Let's
We'll pull
go.
each other's cards.
We're doing it.
All right, I want to go too because I'm part Scottish, so I want to go.
All right, well,
here we go.
There's like a body of water named after my family. It's called
wow.
the Firth of Forth.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's-
How about
yeah,
that?
like so I want to go too.
All right, let's
So,
make it a
okay.
whole thing.
I'm gonna look into it to see if I can fly a kite to that promoter and be like, hey, I got a little package for you. A wrestler, an announcer, a valet.
I'll do
You
whatever.
know, yeah.
All right, you can announce. I'll do whatever. It's
There
fine.
we go.
Yeah, I'll probably just I'll be your advocate like Paul Heyman.
That works
Yeah.
for me.
You know,
Sign me
yeah.
up.
Yeah,
I'm
we
all
said-
about
I got
that.
a passport. I'm
I
ready.
do too. Do you have your passport?
Mine expires in like 8 years, so let's do
Okay,
this.
all right.
Let's do it.
Let it be said right here on the MCW Cast,
It's been
Larry,
marked.
Tara, and Breaux Keller will invade ICW Scotland.
It's coming.
So, Grado, you better get ready.
Get ready.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, just bringing this full circle here too. Like, I mean, there's so many independent promotions now, even. So, I mean, it's funny because you look at it, you have these TV, obviously, companies, but then it's almost like the indies are like this minor league, if you will, and there's different levels to it.
Indeed.
So it's like even like MCW here, they're obviously a top level independent, and then you have, you know, you just mentioned GCW having their show this past weekend over in Hammerstein.
They are
So,
doing it big.
I mean, that's obviously a goal then too, I think, that a lot of wrestlers should have, and it's definitely one of mine, to get into a promotion like that. But then, yeah, I mean, AEW would be so much fun. You hear all the buzz that they're getting at this point in time. So, I mean, yeah, there's so many options, and just continuously, I think, improving and getting better. As long as that's happening, I'm going to be happy. I fear complacency.
Right.
So it's like if I'm just stale, stagnant, and I'm just staying where I'm at, then obviously I'm not getting better. And, I want to make sure I'm continuously improving and I'm continuously trying to innovate as best I can and getting into the ring with different competitors, that have different styles, because that's the best way to learn, hands-on.
Who is someone you would like to get into the ring with that you haven't yet?
Oh my goodness, that is an excellent question.
It really is, Tara.
Because there's so many wrestlers out there now too, and that makes the field even more difficult. But somebody that I've been really paying attention to a lot, and especially now, he's with AEW, making big strides, is Adam Cole. Is somebody Bebe. Because again, we have those Lancaster roots connections, so that would be something like almost a dream match for me, if you will, because you see somebody like that, you watch their development through their career, another CZW guy, and then obviously Ring of Honor, and then NXT, and then making that jump, but then also probably maybe kind of a surprise, but just a way different style for myself. But Daniel Garcia. I actually met him doing some extra work a couple years ago for WWE, and got to really get to know him a little bit. And awesome dude, easy to talk to. He was really cool. But then you watch what he becomes in the ring. I'm like, yes, sign me up. I need to get in there with this guy, because that is somebody that I can learn from, and I just think that would be a fun matchup.
Yeah. Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole definitely making huge strides. Cole's been doing it for years, but Daniel Garcia is definitely, notching on that glass ceiling, as they say it is, to really just explode onto the scene. I say he has already,
big time,
as prominently as he's featured. So,
well, we'll be seeing Adam Cole in just a couple of weeks, Larry.
You don't say.
Yes, we've got our 2-day Celeb Fest event coming up. The first night will be it'll be Saturday, February 5th. We'll be in Hollywood, Maryland. Now, have you been in Hollywood with us?
I have not, but I hear nothing but tremendous
Hollywood.
Stuff.
They're going to love you, actually.
Okay.
Let me just rephrase that. So it'll be Hollywood. So it'll be, the convention is during the day. And of course, we do have Adam Cole as one of many, many talents from all over that will be appearing at the convention, and I believe the convention is 12 to 4, and then that'll give us time to break things down, set everything up, and then we will be putting on a show, one of our first Winter Blast tour stop in Hollywood. Then the next day, we're going to repeat it all over again, but we're going to come up this way to Glen Burnie, which is a town that we, basically got our origins kind of in. You and I did.
Yeah.
We started at Glen Burnie, in that area with MCW.
Thorpe.
Yes, right at the old Bone Breakers right there on Benson Avenue. But anyway, so then that'll be February 6th. On Sunday, we'll do the same thing again, convention, and Adam Cole is to appear on both days, I believe. So
excellent.
Yeah. So
look at that segue. Can I be on the regular cast?
Yeah, please. But we're down a member this week, but it almost feels like we just. You usurped that microphone, not only to learn more about you, but also to help Tara and I. So
there you go. You said it. Hey.
Yeah. And you're on the committee. You're on a couple different committees.
Yes.
If anyone can make it happen. Wow, we've committed ourselves to making a lot of things happen on this episode.
Hey, I'm all about it.
Sky's the limit, right?
He's here to tell us we can't.
That's right.
Yeah. We make our own rules tonight.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't say how to get tickets, though.
Yes, talk about
that.
Talk about
I mean, I usually do that at the end, but since we were talking about it, I'm just going to throw it out there now. Yeah, so you can get your tickets. Go to MCWProWrestling.com. That's the best place to go, because for a convention, there are a million different packages you can get. So depending on which superstar you want to meet, whether you want to do a VIP experience, where you want to do a bundle, that kind of thing. So the convention is separate. And then the show, of course, is that evening. So you can purchase everything there. It's like one-stop shopping, all right? You can check and see all the stars that are headlining. So different vendors are going to be bringing different people in. There's a link that'll take you right to the CelebFest website so that you can get more information about any of those vendors and the stars that they are bringing in. So, conventions are really one of those cool things that the wrestling community does, that people really get to go and meet their idols and, get their merchandise signed and everything. I always think that's neat.
It was really neat, the last one, CelebFest 2. And this one seems like it's going to be even larger across 2 days. And it's a great thing when not only can you see all of the legends and luminaries and icons of pro wrestling, but then right after kind of sharing that platform with them, we do our show.
Yeah.
So it's like a true wrestling con.
Yes, and there will be people from the convention who will be appearing at our show, and you know that we always deliver in that regard. So
no questions on that front.
Yeah.
So, we aren't booking Adam Cole versus Breaux Keller in 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
You asked
You never know what could happen.
You never know. We got lots of
Might
other
see if there's any
things
strings we
lined
can
up.
pull.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't stop you if you like jump him at his gimmick table, okay? I can't do anything about that.
This is a fact. So put him on notice.
Okay.
Real quick before we close this episode out, did you know that Adam Cole attended an MCW show? I think it was at Donnelly High School.
Wow, as a fan?
As a fan, and it in that show, and this is just pro wrestling at its finest. Somehow, Ref Paul Turner,
I remember him.
got into it with Ref Larry Peace.
Okay.
And they had a match, a referee versus referee match at Donnelly High School.
Larry keeping the peace.
Larry keeping the peace versus Paul Turner.
Paul Turner's another Lancaster guy too, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Just saying.
So yeah. So listen, so they do haha,
right.
gaga,
right.
Larry flipping all around, Paul stunner or something like that.
Yeah.
So Paul gets out of the ring, and there's a kid wearing a D-Generation X hat who stands up and gives Paul a high five.
Oh, wow.
Sitting right next to his grandmother, a young Adam Cole.
No.
And I like to believe that interaction with Paul Turner is what really got the wheels going. Like, I'm getting in this thing. I can't just be out here next to my grandma watching it.
Wow,
I have it on
story.
tape.
I need to
all
see
those
that.
It's on tape,
Yes.
like VHS
that's what I'm
tape,
saying. That's
yes.
how old it is. So we're talking like Adam Cole must have been like 11, 12
my
maybe.
God.
And
Throwback.
Yeah, so anyone out there in the MCW land, you look for that Donnelly High, I believe it was, show, or just search Ref Larry Peace versus Ref Paul Turner. And at
wow.
the end of that match, you see Cole stand up as a little kid, slapping Paul Turner's hand because Paul just wiped the floor up with Larry Peace. It was it was a huge engaging match, like two refs fighting.
Right.
So yeah.
I love Larry Peace too.
I love Larry
that's
too.
unfortunate he got beat up.
Well, he made the it was a highlight. I'm sure that many people, we also had the principal that night, Steve Gross.
Yes.
It's funny how I remember these names.
Gosh,
Steve Gross.
I couldn't remember the name of the high school to save my life.
Well, I remember it was Donnelly, and I remember it was like spelled Dongeal, and I was like, how do you pronounce that?
Right.
Yeah. And,
that's probably why I didn't remember it, because in my head I was pronouncing it an entirely different way.
You know what? I think I'm going to watch that show tonight. That was an awesome show. Now that I think about Holy Rollers. Versus Steve Gross, and I forget who his partner was. Maybe Julio, someone.
I don't know. I can't remember that far back.
Yeah, well, I remember it
I would
because
like
of
to remember
the story of Cole, and like I said, I want to believe that slapping of the hand
funny.
is what really
that's
like.
I mean,
that's an endearing little story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the Big Bang. That started his whole Adam Cole universe.
I like to imagine that MCW is what really kind of kicked in the door for him, following his dreams and, reaching the heights that he has already.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll catch up with him. Maybe we'll get to catch up with him for the MCW Cast. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be fun.
That would be fun if we
And
could
a proper guest to follow our guest tonight.
There we go.
All right.
All right. Well, make sure you get your tickets. Go to mcwprowrestling.com. You can always, and also if you're going to go to the convention, you probably want to stock up on some merchandise to get autographed. So make sure you go to Hideaway Collectibles. They have a huge online store as well at hideawaycollectibles.com, not to mention their face-to-face store over there in lovely Dundalk, right down the street from Jimmy's Famous Seafood on Hollowbird Avenue. So you want to stock up on all your merchandise and gear that you're going to get autographed after you buy your Celeb Fest tickets and tickets to the MCW show. And so that's a lot going on. Oh, and my favorite pay-per-view is coming up this week.
The Royal Rumble?
Yes,
Yeah.
I love the Royal Rumble. I always have been a fan of Rumbles. Always. Which, ironically, I was actually in a Rumble last weekend.
Okay.
Yes,
did you win?
No. I entered myself. Yeah. During the match, I was ring announcing, and I was like,
old bit.
All
The
right.
old bit. I love that bit.
I did the whole dramatic, and the next contestant is me.
Yeah.
Jacket, ran out to the ring, that kind of thing. So it was fun. But no, I've always been a fan of Rumbles. I'm a little disappointed this year that they've announced some of what I would have thought would have been good surprise entrants, because that's the appeal of it. And I'm like, wait, you're telling us now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does this mean you have even bigger surprises for us?
That's what we hope. That's the hope that we hold on to. Is that they're, I feel
like I'm going to be let down with that in the surprise department area, because I'm like, oh, how do you top some of this? Like, I don't know.
But here's the debate, though, because there was so much buzz that resulted from that. Everybody was talking about it. So it's like, well, it doesn't really have the surprise factor in the moment. But I think the point was, it got across.
Yeah.
We got to tune in now, because who knows what else is going to happen.
Like, a lot of the fans that have gone away from Lita's era, Lita's wrestling, it's
true.
like, your girl Lita, know, so.
I'm sure there'll still be enough surprises.
I think we're just a little jaded because we've been around for like 20 years.
Yeah.
know?
That's probably true.
Yeah. We really have seen the evolution of the business to the point that now, we'd be watching the Royal Rumble growing up, and all of a sudden the Honky Tonk Man's theme would start and you'd pop. But now it's like, in this day and age with the internet and the Twitter and everything, it's like, just let everyone know she's going to be there.
Nothing's a surprise anymore. Like, even the surprises are not really surprises.
Exactly. And there's so much like foreshadowing that you know who's going to be in things, and I don't know. Yeah.
Well, the big rumor, let's close this out with this. The biggest rumor of all is we know former MCW Legacy OG Mickie James, current Impact women's division Knockouts champion. So the huge scuttlebutt is that the forbidden door will be open and someone from AEW, and the name that I've been hearing thrown around is Jon Moxley.
Interesting.
Will actually be a surprise. Maybe not entrant into the Rumble, but somehow maybe factor into Seth versus Roman as the
I did not hear that. I was hearing Cody, which is where I thought you were going.
But I've heard that as well, bro.
Because of his whole contract thing. So, I mean, either one, I would absolutely lose my brains over.
And honestly, I feel like WWE at this point kind of has to do something like that. I mean,
they force their own hand, really,
Seriously.
And Tara, again, saying what we hold on to, maybe that's why they're letting the cat out of the bag about some of the legends, because they've got a surprise of that magnitude.
All right. Well, I will be watching.
We all will. Royal Rumble is a lot of fun. Yeah.
I agree. Definitely my favorite.
And it always falls. My birthday's the day before, so some years the Royal Rumble is on my birthday, and so
it's like your event.
My day.
It's your event.
So a few years back, I guess it was maybe like 2018. I don't know when it was, when they were in Philly, and it was on my actual birthday. No, it was not 2015.
Oh, there was one more recent, because I was there for that when Nakamura won.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
right.
Hey,
come on, Larry.
Come on, Larry.
Asuka won the women's. Yeah.
Okay. So I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I had a bit of a surprise that night myself, and I showed up to the door with counterfeit tickets.
Oh.
Yes. So that was a unpleasant Royal Rumble surprise that I did not see coming at all. Yeah. My friend had purchased tickets on a Craigslist, and they turned out to be counterfeit. But I know. Well, you know what though? I've bought and sold tickets on Craigslist many, many times. I'm not going to say that I haven't, because I have. Like, I'm a big concert goer. Like, I've been to like 250 concerts. Like, I have used Craigslist many times for this.
So you didn't think anything would be up with like someone purchasing them?
That somebody like was printing these things up in their mom's basement, which is exactly what happened. So anyway, so we get there, and oh no, you can't. They're like, go wait in this room, and there's like a room full of us there. So and people are like losing their minds, and me, I'm like over here on the phone. Hi.
How do we fix this?
Wow.
Well, it was fixed. Okay. I mean, that's the
good.
perks of being in the business, right?
There you
totally.
go. That's right. Flex that card, girlfriend.
And I don't do that very often, ever. But so that was a unpleasant Royal Rumble surprise. But the Rumble itself was great, and you were there too.
I was there too. Yeah,
so
it was awesome.
It was really good.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the seats I thought I had, but that's okay.
You were still in the building.
So
still got in.
I'll be watching it, celebrating my birthday, and so.
Well, happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday, you Aquarius queen, you.
Yeah.
Well, bro, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been very enlightening talking to you. You keep on seducing and destroying.
I would love nothing more.
Man, who knows where we're going to see you pop up next?
Hey, who's to say? I don't know. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll find out.
I most certainly will. Well, for our special guest, Breaux Keller, the heart of MCW Tara, I'm Larry Legend. We'll see you here next Tuesday at 8 for another exciting edition of the MCW Cast.
You make me